Hi, my name is Drew. I am Head of Sound here at the Arena Theatre. Part of my job as Head of Sound is to design sound for shows and to operate sound for shows, as well as help with the general technical running of the building. So what is a sound designer? My job when we produce a show in-house is that the director will come to me with ideas for what they envisage for the sound of the show and what they think it will sound like. And I'll have a look through the script and I'll work out if there are any sound effects that are needed, if there's any moments that rely on sound. We'll start to think about, do the cast need to be heard? Do they need to be amplified and made louder? And then I will go away and make all that happen. The other part of my job is sound operating. So for instance, if we have a musical here, you'll have a lot of people on stage all wearing microphones, and so I will be sat during the show at the sound desk, turning those microphones on and off as needed, as well as triggering sound effects. If there's a live band, I might have a load of microphones on the band to make them heard, and I'll be just mixing those levels to make sure everyone can be heard clearly so that the audience can enjoy the show best they can. So in order to do my job, I have various pieces of equipment that I use. We have a sound desk which takes all of the inputs, the microphones from the cast or from sound effects, all come into one sound desk, and then there are faders on that desk that I can push up and down to make things louder or quieter or turn them on and off in order to mix the show. I also quite often use a piece of software called QLab. QLab is fantastic in that it lets me get all my sound effects and I will put them into QLab in the correct order. I can edit them and I can send them to different speakers around the building so I can make sound effects happen behind the audience or in front of the audience, just to help make them feel more immersed in the world of the play. There are various types of sound effects. One type of sound effects is Foley, which is sort of the day-to-day sort of noises that are made. And then there's also soundscapes or ambience. So quite often when I'm designing sound for a show, I will either go and record sounds as I need them, or I will go and use a sound effects library on the internet or downloaded so that I can create those sounds in the play when needed. So for instance, if I had a play where there was a doorbell ringing, I could either go onto the internet to a sound effects library and find the right type of doorbell, or I could, even using a solid state recorder or even my phone, I could use these devices to record a doorbell, be it at my house or at someone else's house, whichever sounds best. And then I can take those audio files, put them into QLab in order to trigger them at the correct moment. The other type of sound effect is soundscapes or ambience. Those are a bit trickier to create. So, for instance, if you were in the play, if it was taking place, one scene was taking place on a boat, you might want the sound of waves, maybe some seagulls. It's a bit trickier to record seagulls when you're in Wolverhampton like we are. So in that situation I'd rely on a sound effects library, and I'd go and I'd find a suitable sort of squawky sound effect and then put them into QLab so that they could be triggered, and that will help the audience be immersed more in the play and feel more like they are watching someone on a boat at sea rather than sitting in a theatre. So to become a sound designer or a sound operator, there are many different ways you can get involved. I myself took an interest in music when I was younger. I play piano and drums and various other instruments, and took an interest in sound from a young age. When I went to go to the theatre when I was little, I was never watching the stage, I was always looking behind me to see what was happening behind the scenes. And so when I decided I wanted to go to university, I started doing a course in music technology, which was learning how to work in recording studios initially, thinking that might be what I wanted to do. And while I was working on my degree, I had an opportunity to go and work at Symphony Hall in Birmingham for a week, shadowing the technical team there. And I enjoyed that so much that I was then asked if I wanted to work there part-time as a technician, and I did that through the rest of my degree course. And then as my degree ended, they were looking for some full-time technicians, and I applied, and I got the job there as a technical assistant, and I worked there for another year and a half. And then the job opened up here at the Arena Theatre, and I applied for it and got that job, and I've been here ever since. So some skills that you need to be a sound designer. I think the most important thing is a good ear. You need to be able to listen carefully and critically. Look after your ears. Don't go and listen to loud music all the time, because once your hearing goes, you can't ever get it back. So if you go to if I go to a loud club, I put earplugs in. If I'm listening to loud music, I put earplugs in, all to protect my hearing, to make sure I can do my job the best I can. And then I will listen to lots of different pieces of music. I will watch various plays, and when I watch a play, I will listen to the sound and sort of think, oh, how did that sound designer do that? So that then if I do a similar piece in the future, I can think, well, that play did it like that, maybe I can use a similar idea. So it's all about listening carefully and just making note of what other people are doing, really. So as a little challenge for you, I'm going to see if you can create a soundscape. So what you're going to try and do is, using a mobile phone, record a couple of sound effects, record yourself, your friends, to try and create a soundscape, an ambience. It can be anything ambience you like, maybe a school playground, maybe someone sitting watching TV, anything you like, just be creative.